Hi, I'm Riley, and this is Anna, and this is our miracle baby Payton. And I would like to thank you all for believing with us and praying for us for a miracle for her. We have a testimony to share with you.
At our 5-month ultrasound, we went in to see if we were having a boy or a girl, and they told us there was something wrong with her baby. Her bones were bowed and bent, and that we needed to see a specialist. So the following Monday, there was a specialist that came in from Denver, and we took another ultrasound, and she told us that all of the long bones in her arms and legs were either fractured or broken, and gave us a possible diagnosis of our baby having osteogenesis imperfecta, which is a soft bone disease where the baby's bones are very fragile and they just break. But not only that, do they not live because their chests aren't big enough, and they usually die within hours after being born. And they offered to terminate the baby. They said most people would not continue the pregnancy. We told them that wasn't an option for us, and they took a amniocentesis test at that time to try and determine what she had. That was in December. It was going to take a month before we had any results and knew exactly what we were looking at. So by January, they came back with results that it was not OI, but it was another diagnosis called hypophosphatasia, which had a very similar outcome to the OI, the bones being fragile, but they called it a perinatal hypophosphatasia, which meant it was very lethal. She could possibly be stillborn, and she wouldn't live. We just kept praying. We wanted this baby for a long time, and we knew God wanted us to have her. And we didn't give up. And you guys, everybody prayed right along with us. All of our VWO church families all across the world didn't give up. And by faith, we prayed for a miracle and a complete healing in this baby. They did some more different testing and things they weren't completely solid in their diagnosis of the hypophosphatasia, so they kept trying to find a diagnosis for her. I had monthly ultrasounds. From the beginning, they told us that it was possible she could have more broken bones as she got bigger inside of me. But every ultrasound, she didn't have anything new broken, and I believe that was because God had his hand on her. By our last ultrasound in March, one thing that they were really watching was her chest size. In the beginning, her chest was small, but it was still in the 10th percentile, which meant she had better odds of living because 5% is lethal. But by that last ultrasound in March, her chest was down to the 6th percentile, and not expected to make it. We were told we weren't going to be able, to hold her to anything. And then they scheduled a C-section for April because they really expected her to break more as she came out. They said even with the most gentlest C-section, she could have further broken bones when she was born. And then my mom and I and my boys, we came to stay up here in Denver, waiting for her due date. And the week before she was supposed to be born, my doctor called me and said they had a new diagnosis for her. That they had sent all of her records to the top specialists in the state of skeletal dysplasia, and they diagnosed her with campomelic dysplasia. 3/4 of all diagnosis of campomelic dysplasia, they die. They don't live. And I just told her, well, we're just still gonna believe for a miracle that she's gonna be okay. And the 16th finally came. That was the day she was scheduled to be born. And we went in, and one of the doctors came in to talk to us so that he would understand what we wanted to do as far as life support went. If we were, how far we wanted to take trying to keep her alive. And we had to make some decisions. They were very worried about her with the campomelic dysplasia diagnosis, that her jaw and stuff could have been deformed and caused difficulty breathing. And so they wanted to bring in a specialist, ear, nose, and throat specialist. So they delayed the C-section by an hour so that they could bring in another specialist to try and keep this baby alive. So we delayed it an hour. By the time we got in there with all the specialists and everybody, there was 19 different doctors and people in there that were here to bring this baby into the world, and she was not expected to live. But as soon as she came out, she was screaming and crying, which meant she could breathe on her own, and she didn't stop. And they put oxygen on her for a short time. They never used any of the specialists that they brought in. She was taken back to the NICU and assessed. Her chest was big enough, her lungs were fine. She only was on oxygen for a few hours, and then she was breathing room air on her own. They took x-rays of her pretty quickly. And the doctor assessed those. She came out of the womb with no fractures, no broken bones. They took her x-rays right after she was born, and then the orthopedic doctor assessed them and looked at them. Come to find out, her bones that we had thought were broken or fractured were really only just more bent or bowed, due to them being soft and due to her being in the womb. She had a couple fractures on her ribs that were healing, but she came out of the C-section with no broken bones whatsoever, which was not expected. There were three main things that the orthopedic doctor was looking at for her diagnosis. It was her spine, her hips, and her feet, all of which are perfect. They have diagnosed her with hypophosphatasia, but she does not fit herself. She does not fit into statistically what that should look like. I mean, you can see she looks perfectly normal. She's strong. She's very strong little girl. I mean, they told us we wouldn't be able to hold her. We can hold her. They're amazed by how well she's doing. The good news though is with this diagnosis, they have in the last 3 years came out with a medicine to treat babies and people with this diagnosis. Before the medicine, 75% of all cases died by the age of 5, and now with the medicine, 97% rate of living a normal life. She will be able to crawl and to walk just like any baby would. This was the hardest 4 months of our life, and we couldn't have done it without the support and the faith of our home church in Cortez and this Colorado Springs church, all of our churches all across the United States. I know every single one of you were praying. I know many of you fasted, and you took it to heart, and you bared this burden with us. And I know that that's what moved the hand of God. It was your faith and our faith, and that's what moved God. And she's a miracle. We're gonna get to take her home, and it's because we didn't have to go through it alone, and God did a miracle. And we just are so incredibly thankful, and we give him all the praise and all the glory. And I know he has big plans for this baby girl, and we just want to say thank you. Thank you for many of people gave us a lot of financial support and their prayers and their love, and we're just so thankful. We're so thankful to Pastor Jones and his sister for getting us a place to stay here in Denver for the whole duration of this process, and it's been a tremendous blessing, and we love you guys, and we couldn't have done this without you, and we just wanted to share.
We thank you so much, and we love you.